Today we're going to talk about what a clogged milk duct is, what causes it, and therefore how we can prevent it, how to treat one if you have one, and then also how not to treat one. Relatively recently, the protocol regarding how to treat a clogged milk duct and mastitis has changed, and so I'm going to be sharing with you the most up-to-date information. I'm Lainey, a licensed feeding and speech therapist and board-certified lactation consultant. I love supporting parents and caregivers in feeding and nurturing their little ones. I provide tips, resources, and education about all things baby feeding and development. We talk breastfeeding, bottle feeding, solid foods, baby play, cognitive development, language development, and all kinds of other great things. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my future videos. So what is a clogged milk duct? We are going to go into a little anatomy to figure that out. So we have the breast nipple. The nipple is where the milk flows out of. And then inside the breast, we have a lot of fat, and then we have glands that produce milk. These are called lobules. From the lobules to the nipple, there are a lot of little tunnels that carry the milk, and those are called ducts. And so when we have a clogged milk duct, we have a blockage in those tunnels, or one tunnel, that is carrying the milk from the lobule to the nipple. A clogged milk duct can cause breast pain, swelling, warmth, and if it's not treated properly, it can develop into an infection and mastitis. A clogged milk duct often occurs on just one side and feels like a firm lump. When a clogged duct occurs, it often occurs because there's milk sitting in the milk ducts for too long and it's accumulating, and then it's causing inflammation of the breast. Some things that can cause this are not feeding or emptying your breast frequently enough. Another thing can be if you're not emptying your breast adequately or effectively and milk is being left behind. A few other causes of a clogged milk duct can be using the wrong flange size when pumping, can be going too long in between feedings. It can be from wearing too tight of clothing, which can cause restriction and tightness and inflammation. And then a breast injury of any sort, breast implantations, anything that impacts the flow of the milk. Next, we're going to go into how to treat a clogged milk duct if you're experiencing one. I'm going to go over 10 ways to treat a clogged milk duct. The first one, and probably the most important, is going to be feeding frequently or expressing milk, like pumping frequently. This is going to empty your breasts and then also hopefully clear that blockage. If you can, try to feed every 2 to 3 hours or pump every 2 to 3 hours if possible. Next, we want to be expressing and removing milk adequately. If you're feeding and the milk is not being removed adequately and milk is being left behind, it can contribute to a clogged milk duct. What you want to look at to prevent this from happening is your baby's latch. If they're struggling with a latch, for example, some babies that have a tongue tie experience this. They have difficulty latching and then expressing and removing milk effectively, and they're leaving too much milk behind, and it can cause milk ducts and then eventually mastitis. If you're pumping, the first thing I would look at is your flange size. Oftentimes the flange that comes with your breast pump is a 24 millimeter, and it's too large for many women. This can cause you to not be removing milk effectively and leaving too much milk behind. What you can do to make sure you have the right flange size is first measure your nipple. I linked 2 options below. One is a ruler that you can purchase online, and then one's a free printable that you cut out at home. The second thing you'll do is either buy a new flanges that fit, or you can buy inserts that go inside your current flange. Then you're using likely the correct size, but then after you purchase that, in addition to measuring, you want to make sure that it looks and feels right. I also have a link below of flange inserts that you can purchase on Amazon. Try different breastfeeding positions. Experiment with different positions and see which ones help remove milk the most effectively. A tip would be to aim baby's chin towards the clogged milk duct. As they're sucking and their chin is moving, it can help stimulate milk movement. A few different positions that you can play with would be laying on your side and having baby be on their side as well, leaning back and having baby be more up and down as you're in a reclined position, and then football hold. Oftentimes this works well because many women have a clogged duct near their armpit, and so trying the football hold oftentimes gets that chin near that clogged duct. There's not a lot of research behind the next position, but many women swear by anecdotally. What you can do is called dangle feeding. This is when you feed baby from above. Gravity and then baby's suction helps remove that clogged milk duct. As I mentioned before, tight clothing or tight bras can cause a milk duct, and so they obviously can make it worse. So you want to be sure to just wear nice, loose clothing and loose bras that are really comfortable. I linked a few of my favorite options below. The next treatment strategy is lymphatic massage. Like I mentioned before, clogged milk ducts cause inflammation. So we want to get rid of as much fluid and inflammation as possible. So when performing a lymphatic massage, you want to use a really gentle touch. It's almost like touching baby's face, or they say petting a cat, just really, really gentle. You can do it while feeding or not while feeding. And what you want to do is gently massage away from the nipple and move up towards your armpit. This is moving that fluid away. A little tip for when you are doing lymphatic massage, I would try wear something really soft and smooth when doing it so that your hand can glide easily, or use a carrier oil like coconut or almond oil. Breast gymnastics is our next strategy. I know it's a little bit of a unique name, but it describes what we're doing very well. We're gonna be gently moving the breast. What this does is gently move and stretch the breast and those ducts inside the breast, and so it can help alleviate that blockage and then get the milk flowing. So what you want to do is gently lift your breast, move it in different directions, side to side, up and down, just in circles, just super gently. We're just trying to get some gentle movement going, some circulation, and then hopefully that will help reduce the inflammation and then get that milk moving as well. This next strategy is one that's a little bit newer to the clogged duct and mastitis protocol, and it is ice. Using an ice compress can help reduce that inflammation. So what you want to do is either use a compress, you can use cold water in a washcloth, you can fill a diaper with water and then put it in your freezer and chill it as well. So lots of different options, but doing this in between feedings to help reduce that inflammation will help. Similar to that, but very different, is heat. We can also use a heat compress, but we want to be careful with how much we're doing it so that we're not making that inflammation and irritation worse. What works well is to apply heat just before or during the feeding, because that's when it's going to help open up those milk ducts and help get that milk flowing. Again, you can use any of these things just with warm water, or this compress warmed up. Epsom salt and warm water is another great strategy. There's a few different ways you can go about it, and there's one that's really popular that I actually am really hesitant to recommend, and that is a Haka Epsom salt soak. That is because when you're using a Haka, you're oftentimes flipping it onto your breast and there's a lot of negative pressure and suction. That tight suction can actually make that inflammation near the clogged milk duct worse. So if you're gonna go with the Haka, I just recommend that you be really cautious with not having it be too tight. A couple other things you can use is like a glass like this, and then you can also use a shot glass. And so then you can kind of get just a tight seal on the nipple and around the nipple with the glass that you're using, and submerge it in the warm water and Epsom salt. Another option, similar to the dangle feeding that we talked about earlier, is doing a dangle soak. So you can have a basin and then lean over it and then have that warm water and Epsom salt inside the basin. This kind of uses reverse osmosis and can help pull that milk duct out, again with gravity, since you're leaning over that basin. That's hopefully going to help with movement as well. Before I go on to the next treatment strategy, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and like it below. This will help show it to more moms that need help. Also, if you want to go in the comments and share what strategies you've tried, what's worked for you, what hasn't, then we can all learn from each other. The last strategy is probiotic-rich foods and probiotics. When a clogged milk duct stays and does not clear, bacteria can build up and cause an infection and mastitis. Something we can do to help prevent an infection or treat it if it's gotten that far is eat probiotic-rich foods and probiotics. There are 3 different probiotics that have been studied to help with preventing or treating mastitis, and I listed and linked them below. A couple other reminders is, number 1, if you're noticing that you're having recurrent clogged ducts, you'll want to look at why. You want to get to the root cause. And then number 2, if you have a clogged duct and you feel like it's turning into an infection or you're experiencing a fever, that is when you want to reach out to your doctor for further assistance. Strategies that you'll want to avoid or at least use in moderation and limit are going to be any deep tissue massage. So really deep, aggressive massage, kneading of the breast, that's going to cause increased inflammation and make things worse. Another thing is going to be vibration. Oftentimes we're recommended to use like a vibrating toothbrush and really get in there, but it's going to actually irritate that inflammation even more. The last strategy to be cautious with, again, is the Haka with Epsom salt soaks. It really can cause a really strong suction, so just be extra careful if you're going to use it. I hope this video was helpful if you are dealing with a clogged duct right now and trying to treat it, or if you're trying to prevent one in the future.